Hello.
Hello.
First I want to say that your music is really inspiring and really creative, and I was wondering if there were any inspirations or references that you took when you were working on the soundtrack for the movie.
You know, it came so close after Rocky IV and I was surprised that the producers of Transformers really hired me based on Rocky IV because they're such different movies. And it was hard for me to be inspired by Transformers, again, for two reasons. Didn't know the story, didn't know the franchise, but more importantly, and I've told this story many times, the only thing I had to write music to was storyboards. And even though I told the producers that I had done that many times, I'd never done it before. So that was hard. That was difficult. I hope never have to do that again. But you know, somehow the music came out, turned out well. So yeah, that was what was my inspiration. Well, you know, anything having to do with robots is an inspiration. That's cool. You know, I like that, even though I didn't know the Transformers franchise. And the Rocky IV music that I wrote, that was kind of used as a template.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hi, Vince.
Hi.
So I wanted to talk about your, I just want to make sure I was asking this right. Okay, your music has basically transcended time. Okay?
Thank you.
And I wanted to ask you, what is your process in how you create your music, other than them telling you this is what this is? Is there a process that you go through to formulate the music that you write and, you know, compose?
I know I never had any education at film composing, and to this day I really don't consider myself you know, a film composer per se. I was a rock and roll guy that happened to get into, you know, Staying Alive and Rocky IV and Transformers. And my process is basically always starting with piano. I sit down at the piano and I tape every idea that I have based on whatever information that they give me, whether it's visual or, you know, if they explain things to me. You know, I use that as in my mind, and again, I didn't have picture to write to this time, and that was hard. On Rocky IV, I had a finished picture. It was all edited, ready to go, and that was inspirational in itself. So I had to work from these storyboards again, and it was hard, but just knowing the little bit that I knew about Transformers and the fact that it was robots, I knew it was going to be electronic. And, you know, but I always start, even if piano doesn't end up being in the score, I always start at the piano. And I just tape all my ideas and go back and listen and say, that's worth developing, that's worth developing. I think for Transformers, I had a couple little synthesizers in my studio, so it wasn't all piano that I used as the process. There were some synthesizers there. Yeah.
Okay. And thank you for your contributions, and also thank you for Angry Birds.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for Angry Birds.
Hello, Mr.
Hi.
DiCola. I'm Sean Linnell. Your music in the movie has touched me so many years throughout my life. Just because being a big fan of the G1 cartoon. And then, you know, I guess it's the same theme in Rocky IV when the Russian guy steps on the scale. So that, I mean, it you know, Transformers more than meets the eye. Then you go to the movie, then it's like do. Like, you know, you said you have storyboards, but I'm curious, like, it has such a dark tone. And like, it's like, oh wow, this isn't the animated cartoon anymore. Right. This has more of like a serious, like adult feel.
Right.
But you said you didn't have a picture, you had storyboards. So what was your what drove you to create that sound?
I grew up in the 70s, and my most inspirational genre of music is progressive rock, and I brought those elements into the Transformers score. I did it into Rocky IV as well. Again, I keep saying Rocky IV, guys, just because it was 6 months after I had completed, after Rocky IV came out, that they approached me for Transformers. So there is a lot of connections, like you pointed out, between the Drago stuff and Unicron stuff. Because I had that in my mind, and actually the producers asked for that, and they thought that that was very, the connection would be cool. So, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, that's amazing. Stan Bush.
Stan Bush.
Thank you so much. Just briefly, I just want to say, I hope that, because I got the CD of the score and the vinyl.
Yeah.
I hope that maybe Shout Factory or whoever owns the rights to it will actually redo the soundtrack. So, because I hear all the wonderful things you've done where it sounds like computer and electronic, and you've put so much detail into it. I would love to hear that in the movie as clear as I'm hearing it on CD.
Me too. They buried some of the music with sound effects, and that's usual. That's normal. But I'm so glad that the Intrada record label decided to put out just the score.
Oh, yes.
I'm very, very happy about that.
Yes, I've been waiting since I was a kid to just hear the whole movie.
Oh.
Like sometimes on scores they want to give you certain themes, but
Yes.
the entire movie is on that. I'm just thankful. Thank you, guys.
70 minutes of music, and that was a lot of stuff.
that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Thank you very much for
Thank
the
you, sir.
compliments. I'm going to turn it over to Stan for a little. I'll take a couple more questions. I don't want to cut you out of it, man. Let me take a couple more questions, and we'll turn it over to Stan a little bit. Go ahead.
Okay. Thanks for coming, both of you.
Sure.
And Stan, I listened to your album. I think it's called Dare to Dream on my drive over here, the full album. So thanks very much for keeping the hits going.
Thanks a lot.
And Vince, I wanted to ask you. I'm a big synthesizer fan. So I was wondering, what were your favorite synthesizers when writing the soundtrack for the Transformers movie?
Wow. A lot of the synthesizers weren't mine for that show, for that movie, and for Rocky IV, once again. My friend Casey Young brought a truckload of synthesizers, and I think my favorites were the big Moog modular synthesizers that we used for a lot of the lead sounds and bass sounds. I did use, there is quite a bit of grand piano in the, now that I think about it, even though it's not really based in acoustic piano, there was quite a bit of grand piano on it. That's always my main, inspiration when I sit at a piano. That's where I get most of my ideas. But my favorite synthesizer for that score was between the Moog modular, and I owned a Oberheim OBX synthesizer, and I used that a lot. So,
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.